about 18 and 23, I think, at the time. Um, my first thought of her, I kind of liked her, but she wasn't. She wasn't reacting in any way to me. In fact, I thought she was very cold, and towards me especially. And I thought, well, she's not interested in going to me. But I called her. I asked her for a date to come and see her the next day, the next night, just her and I meet. And she said, okay. And she called and said the night, which was the next night, she called and said she was going over to visit her grandmother's. So I thought, when I got off the phone, I said, well, let's take care of that. That's the first time I've had somebody use that excuse to get out of a date with me. So I thought that, not interested in taking her out again, but didn't work that way for some reason there, because I called her another night or two later and asked her to go out, and we went out. We didn't do anything in particular, maybe go to a show or go to a drive-in, but and where did we go on our first date? Our first date was with the other couple, her girlfriend and my friend who was dating her at the time, and we went to the fair, our Fresno District Fair. And Grandma will probably tell you that we'd been out the night before, and as I was walking her to the door, I asked her, I said, do you like to go to the fair? And she said, yeah. And I said, so do I. But I didn't ask her out to go to the fair. And so it was kind of a stupid thing. And so I guess eventually I did ask her to go with me, and that's when we went to the fair. That was our first date, real date. So anyway, and that's where we went. We went to the fair. What did your parents think when they first met her? I think my mother was the most difficult to please. For one thing, she didn't ever want my brother or I to be married, and I won't say that my parents, yeah, I don't remember them really arguing in any way, but I do remember that Grandma always said, oh, why did I ever get married? Oh, to be single again. And I finally told her one day, I said, why don't you be single? Or ask her. It wasn't being sarcastic when she said that. Oh, she said, I wouldn't know what to do. Something to that effect. So, but Grandma was always against it, and I don't really know why, because I think they had a good marriage. My dad was a good person, very good person. I didn't ever see my dad drink a glass of beer or anything like that. Now, he actually did have a bottle of strong liquor underneath the sink. And it was for medicine, because whenever he'd take a notion, like getting sniffles or something, he'd take a glass of hot water and he'd put in a shot of whiskey and squeeze a lemon into it and drink it down and go to bed and cover up, whether it was winter, summer, or anything else. And the next morning he felt like fine. I'd never seen my dad really down sick, because I always believed in that hard booze that he had underneath the sink. But it must have worked anyway. But I think I think my mom liked Nadine. She thought she was very nice and very polite, and fortunately she didn't mention anything marriage at that time. So, but anyway, I think it was a good first meeting when my mom and Grandma first met. Yeah, I think it was a good meeting. Well, you asked me to describe 2 or 3 dates you went on from beginning to end, from how you picked her up to how you dropped her off. Well, always had a car to pick her up and take her home, and always walked her to the door. But we dated for a year, and we were together every night for a year. And the only time we weren't together during that time is when I got the flu one week, and she came over to my place every night. So our dates were pretty much the same thing. I'd pick her up, and we'd go to a show, or just go get a soda, or just ride around and come home. But it always seemed to take 3 or 4 hours. So and let's see. I always enjoyed. We always had a good time. We always. I'm not a conversationalist, and Mom was, and is, but we managed to talk about some different things. Never ever too serious about anything. Always kind of nothing about politics or anything like that, but just in general what's going on around us, and that's about it. Okay. What advice would I give your grandchildren about dating? Date often. I didn't know. I didn't really care about being single. Why, other women know you're single wherever you work and so forth, and I knew there were a lot of single women at the telephone company that we were around at different times. I didn't ever, once I started dating Nadine, I didn't even care about dating anybody else. I guess it was because I really liked being with her, and I wouldn't want to. I don't know if I was to not show up one night and go out with somebody else, that might have thrown a wrinkle or two at Grandma, and thinking, well, all of a sudden he's out with somebody else. Maybe he's not that interested in me, but I didn't ever have any interest in dating anybody else. And I guess that was why we dated every night for such a long time. And our engagement, well, we had